Hello there, and welcome to another video. This is part 3 of my Freestar Navy mini-series, in which I design vessels that would be used by the Freestar Navy, making use of the 3 main manufacturers in Freestar territory. If you haven't watched this series before, there is previous videos. This is part 3, like I said. I will link the playlist in the description. Also, there's a little trailer too that kind of gives a little bit of a lore behind the Freestar and how they've been faring in the Starfield universe. So this is the final part of the Corvette, and we are going to be looking at the Taiyo entry. So the kind of bit of lore blur behind it is that the Freestar are looking for 3 vessels, one of which being a Corvette that they will be using for anti-piracy and patrols. The only real requirements is that it can't be too large, being no bigger than around 20-ish meters, and it could be a little bit bigger but not too big. It needs to house a small crew of 2 actual crew members, a pilot and a co-pilot, and then it needs to have enough room for 2 rangers that would be stationed on the vessel to act as a kind of a ground troops for boarding action or ship defense if the ship gets boarded. So yeah, so let's get into it. So as you can see, I tried to, when I made these designs, I wanted to make something that looked like you could tell it was made by the manufacturer, but it had to be unique enough that it didn't copy any previous designs, because it is made purely with the intent of being used only by the Freestar Navy. As you can see, they all kind of have the same color palette, just because I wanted to differentiate them and make them kind of stand out, because they are prototype vessels. So this is the Taiyo Corvette. As you can see, it's quite small. It's the smallest of the vessels, which is kind of interesting. When building this ship, I used only items for sale at the Taiyo Astroneering level of the Ryushin Tower. So yeah, let's get into the stats. So it's got a fuel of 200, which is kind of the same as the other ones. Now that's for some vessels that might be quite small, but the purpose of these vessels is they rarely ever leave their designated system. They would kind of operate in a kind of a patrol, so like let's say for instance, if this was designated to patrol Cheyenne, it would kind of land on Aquila, fuel up, and then it would just kind of hop around the planets. If needed be, it could jump to another system, but usually when it makes jumps like that, it would be escorted by larger vessels, because the last thing you want is this thing to get ambushed. It's meant to be a patrol vessel. It's not heavily armed or armored. Speaking of armor, it has a hull of 793, which I believe is the weakest of the 3 vessels. Not by much. It's still quite acceptable. It's using all max tier parts. It's got a cargo capacity of 340, which puts it smack bang in the middle. It has more than the Stroud-Eklund variant, but it has less than the Hope Tech. Shock. Hope Tech love their cargo. Looking at our modules, we've got the A-class reactor, 33 power. This, like the Stroud-Eklund, also fortunately had the best reactor in the game, this Ferromac. It's got a crew of 4, which is just enough to house the 4 crew members, or the 2 crew members and the 2 assigned security personnel. It has a jump range of 30 light years, which is extremely good, but it's not really necessary. Like I was saying, in lore, this ship wouldn't be making any sort of substantial jumps like that unless it was an emergency, and even then, it could make an in-system jump. It's got a shield of 730. I believe that is the weakest of the 3 shields, but it's still quite acceptable. Weapon-wise, we have a pair of lasers mounted on the front there on some Horizon weapon mounts, just to the left and right of the cargo. On the back, we have 2 ballistic cannons. And then we have the single EM weapon on the middle there, just above and behind the cockpit. The EM weapon is kind of one of the mandatory requirements, because these ships will be doing a lot of patrolling, and they might need to interdict vessels that could be smuggling, and they don't want to destroy said vessel, because smuggling is obviously a crime, but it's not a crime that's necessarily punishable by death, so they want to be able to disable crafts safely. So price wise, this ship comes out at around 166,648. Now that price may vary slightly. I don't know if my perks affect the buy price. They probably do. So you're looking around 180. So anyway, let's get into it. Hello, Mr. Matt. Thank you. So here it is here, as you can see. I think I did a decent job. Hope Tech is probably like the second easiest out of the three manufacturers. It's the second easiest to build with. You've got a lot of pieces, but the only issue with the Hope Tech pieces is while they look good, they don't merge very well with one another, which is kind of annoying. Like, I'll show you an example here. So I make use of these. Oh, I didn't break my leg. I make use of these Hope Tech landing gear because one, they're quite good. They give good thrust to weight ratio, and they also allow you to store stuff. I have fuel hidden behind there. But you notice when I made use of these little sloped kind of slanted pieces, they don't kind of sit very well. Just a forewarning, this ship makes use of merge techniques. If you don't, you're not a fan of that, I am sorry. I use them in all my builds. And then you see in the back here, I use these little kind of, they're braking engines, technically, but they don't actually function as braking engines. So I just kind of expanded them out here because they look like hard points for weapons. And at the back, we got two of those White Wolf engines. They're not called White Wolf engines, they're called something else. Sam is trying to think as well. He's like, I can't remember, Crimson. Anyway, in we get. Got those two weapons mounted at the front, those singe. In we go.
Come to tell Cora we're back.
Yeah, I'll tell her we're back. So, one of the benefits of the Taiyo and the Hope Tech is the armory also doubles as a brig, which is very nice and fits the role. So you come up here and you have some storage there if you want to store some of your weaponry. You've also got a nice little chair for your security personnel to sit, and then we have a 2-bunk brig for if you need to put unruly people in that you have captured. And then if we go up here, we have the docking port above, and we have the crew compartment where the crew check all the stuff. This will mainly be used by the onboard security rangers. Yeah, and obviously you've got some extra space if you need to carry some passengers, if you save.
A face I never mind seeing.
Hello, Andrea.
What can I do for you?
And then in here we have the cockpit. Not a lot to say here. It's a really nice looking cockpit, but it doesn't really give me combat vibes. We've got 2 seats there for your co-pilot and your navigator, but they don't have any. They don't really have any like computers. Something that I just realized now, which might be potentially a reason, is Ryujin like using implants. So maybe you use implants while like co-piloting and stuff. Bit weird. I don't know if I'd agree to that. But anyway, we're gonna take her off and see how she performs. So up we go. So as always, I have a perk that increases my power by 5, so we're not going to be using 5 power. It's got more than enough lifting capability. Those little engines provide just enough boost. I want to say I'm using the 3015s. I probably am using the 3015s. That's the ones that give you 180 speed. Right, so let me just put max points in everything. Like always, I have basically have 5 perks points left over because of the perk I have. So weapon rate, we've got those single, double singe lasers, very hard hitting. We've got those 2 ballistic cannons there, and then we've got the single EM. This configuration, or this Corvette, is probably the most heavily armed when it comes to combat. Quick speed test. Are we going to... No, I only used the 150s. I'm assuming I used them just because I didn't want to give one ship a massive advantage when it comes to speed. Because technically all of them could mount them, because they're not, you know. We've got a boost speed of 600, which is very nice. And then for the agility, these all have 100 agility.
How are you, Dusty?
They can dance around. As you can see, the cockpit's a bit open, so the crew are talking to me. And then the roll... Oh, I forgot to do the yaw. Alright, so now we're going to head down to the surface of the planet and check it out.
Welcome back.
Alright, so here we are. We've got the ship split in half. So on the top section here, we've got the Himeji command bridge. I probably butchered that, from Taiyo Astroneering. 340 cargo and 2 crew station. Behind that, we have the Taiyo control station 2x1B. We've got the extender port 200 docker from Taiyo. And then for weaponry, we have on an equipment plate here, we have the Suppaku 250 GC suppressor from Shinigami, A-class, 1040 range, 1.5 fire rate, 54 electromagnetic damage, and 6 power. And then behind that, we have 2 more weapons. We have Mauler 104L cannons from Horizon Defense, A-class, 1040 range, 3.49 fire rate, and 13 hull damage with 4 power. They're both mounted on some equipment plates. Behind that, we have the Sfermac DC-202 reactor from Deepcore, A-class, 33 power, 730 hull. This is the best reactor for A-class. For the landing gear, we've got 2 of these Pinpoint 4G landing gear from Taiyo. They give 2 thrust each. And then for the structural pieces, we've got 2 of these Taiyo cowling for top. We have 2 of these Taiyo side caps that are merged. And then at the back here, we have 2 of these Taiyo cap port ends. And then on the bottom of the vessel, we have the ship bed landing bay 200. Then we have the Taiyo armory 2x1 bottom B. Mounted on 2 horizon weapon defenses, 1 each side, we have the Singe 4 megawatt lasers from Lightsight, A-class, 1625 range, 3.49 fire rate, 22 shield damage, and 4 power each. And then at the back here, we have the R4000 Alpha Grav Drive from Relodyne, A-class, 9 power, 27 shump thrust, which in the current configuration gives us 30 light years of range. We've got the Bastille S84 shield generator from Nautilus, A-class, 7 power, 730 shield. That is merged into the reactor, I believe. And then we've got 2 of these White Dwarf 3030 engines from Relodyne, A-class, 3 max power, 21930 engine thrust, and 3210 maneuvering thrust. And then for these structural pieces, we have 2 of these Taiyo cowling for bottom. We've got 2 of these Taiyo side caps. We have 2 horizon weapon mounts, and then the 2 fuel tanks are merged. So I'm going to show you real quick how I built it. So we obviously have the bottom set up there as is. You wouldn't have them fuel tanks. We can move them to there, like so. And then your shield generator there. And we're going to put the bridge directly above the landing bay. And then we're going to have the... Just moving all these. So this sits directly behind it like so. And then we have on the bottom here, I'm going to show you real quick just because there's a little bit of finicky to this. So initially it would look like this. You have 2 of these side caps on the bottom and top on each side. And then we have obviously the equipment plate there and the Suppaku. Now we're going to mount these here. These Ulysses Helium-3 tanks. They're going to both snap to the top section like that. And then next we're going to get the landing gear. Now for the landing gear, we're going to snap them in like so, but they're not going to want to snap, so we're going to flip them and flip them back, and just like that, they now sit nice and perfectly. And we're going to do the same thing on the other side, flip them back. Now for these cowlings, the exact same, we're just going to flip them and flip them back like so, and then once you flip them back, you just let go of them. And we're going to do the same thing on the top here. Now, you don't need to have these little pieces here, but I just have them just because they look like they add some extra structure and also armor. And then we do the same thing here, flip them back. And then for the 2 end caps here, we just snap them in there. They sit above the bridge like so. And then we have 2 of these weapons mounted on the equipment plates. And then finally, for the shield generator, it sits on this grav drive here. And then we're basically going to do the merge technique. So you can do this with any piece. You just have to get a piece that can snap up. So I'm going to get this little 1x1 habitat. Put it there. And then we're going to highlight this Ferromax DC-202. We have it mounted on the top there. You press the duplicate button and it should snap down. And then you just get rid of it like so. And then that's pretty much it. Let me just put this back. That's the entire vessel. So obviously there's room for, like, you can upgrade it if you were to use this as a personal vessel, but I wanted to kind of make it like quite uniform because, like, the sad reality when it comes to like military grade components is it's usually like the cheapest available. But you never know, the Freestar might be looking to kind of splash the cash. So yeah, that is the final Corvette design of the three. I'd like to know, just going off of the three of them, which one do you like personally, and then which one would you see as the more kind of appropriate in the Freestar Navy as the Corvette role? As always, guys, thanks for watching. Tune in next time where we will look at the first of the 3 destroyer classifications. That's going to be the B class. As always, thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe if you like this sort of content, and check out some other videos. Bye-bye.